back a little. Over. Nice. Well, hello everybody, and welcome to this unusual Monday afternoon, or well, it's Monday morning still actually, Monday morning live stream. I'm doing this because I'm actually off work today and tomorrow, because it's my birthday tomorrow. So welcome to this birthday Paintalong live. I hope you enjoy. What we're going to do today is I'm just going to base up some British light dragoons on foot service duty for Egypt. So part of orientalizing my British, I'm going to get these bad boys done. I'm going to do 2 different regiments when I get around to painting them. So get these guys based up, and then I'm going to do some painting on the Wurttembergers, the 3D printed ones that I received from Piano Miniatures. So, well, I received the files from them. I printed them out. I don't know how long this one's going to run for. I'm hoping probably at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half. My brother and nephew are coming around later on. So I'm going to have to disappear whatever time they get here. It's rather dependent on the little goblin, unfortunately. So I can't tell you exactly when that's going to be. But hello to 13th AIB. Good morning. Just waking up on the east coast of the USA. Well, this is well timed for you guys then. I'm not sure you have it in the States, but we have summertime and regular time, and in our summertime the clocks go forward an hour, and they've just gone back. They went back on Sunday, so times are still a little bit weird for everyone here at the moment. So I've been up since about 5 o'clock this morning, and it's not been great. So what I'm doing here is I'm just super gluing these guys. I do occasionally use PVA, but I have found when I do that I'll sometimes you can be basing the model, so you put the extra PVA on, and the weight of the glue and the sand just makes the figure peel off. Now, because he's peeled off and there's sort of wet PVA glue on the base already, the PVA goes into the hole where the base was, and he never goes back in, and it's just an absolute pain in the bum. So I just go with super glue that I apply directly out of a pot with a coffee stirrer onto the base of the model, and then we're good to go. The reason I use the coffee stirrer is because the nozzle just keeps getting clogged up, and it's a real pain in the arse. So I've just completely done without the nozzle. I just apply it directly now. Morning, Triple Crown Wargaming. Nice to see you. Shouldn't you be at work at this time? Naughty boy. It's actually 6:10 in Louisiana. It's 6:10 in the morning, I assume. I'm not very good with these things. Yeah, it will be on it, yeah. Hello, Richard. 4 a.m. in Washington. Oh, that is on the west coast, isn't it, Washington? So, oh, wow, blimey. You are up early, my friend. Oh, you do. You guys do have daylight saving. Yeah, no, it's well, it sucks in the spring. It's nice in the autumn when you get the extra hour in bed, though. I do appreciate that. It doesn't mean that I have to keep saying GMT instead of BST, but at least people understand what GMT is. BST causes a lot of confused people. Hello, Andreas. Nice to see you again. Let's bang that one in there. What kind of light dragoons can we expect today? Well, Andreas, they are the British light dragoons on foot service for the British Army in Egypt. I had a look, actually. I can't see anything that's specifically for Egypt service except for one officer, and we'll have a look at him in a second. I've just banged everyone on. So let me see. Oh, sorry, no, I did him off camera. I realised we're quite a bit off camera, aren't I? Sorry, let me move the camera a little bit. There we are. Sorry, guys. I'm still in the downstairs studio, which is nowhere near as good as upstairs. But unfortunately, my Wi-Fi doesn't extend to the attic, which is a real shame because it's a great studio for this. I am looking at getting a different router and some more funky stuff like that. A booster, basically. I've already got a booster, but it doesn't seem to be boosting quite sufficiently. So I don't know, it's a very old house. It's brick, like old school brick. So I don't know if that that affects it or not. Is painting tree beard? Oh, painting tree beard is definitely allowed. Yes. Is that the did they ever do a plastic tree beard, or is he still the metal one? Because the metal one's smaller than the old plastic one. Right. If you're in the UK, I don't know if you are, Menno. It's the tickets for the Lord of the Rings GT at Warhammer World. They go on sale today, so don't forget those if you fancy going. I know a lot of the Triple Crown boys are going, but I shall be there to attend and hang out, but I won't be playing this year due to a funding crisis. They are Perry Andreas, yes. I picked them up yesterday at Fiasco in Leeds. We'll discuss the show a bit more later on. Did Brunswick have sappers in 1815? That's a good question, MDJ Red. A question I have absolutely no idea about, I'm afraid. I would assume so. I would imagine most companies would have had, most battalions would have had a platoon of sappers. I'd be very surprised if they didn't. And that would just be for, doing battalion level sapping tasks. There's always stuff that needs doing. So, I certainly wouldn't be surprised. If they did, I would be more surprised if they didn't. Let's put it that way. So I mentioned earlier on that there's nothing particularly Egyptian about these guys, but as I just dive for my book, here we go. So I picked this one up recently. Zoom out a little bit. It's the From Reason to Revolution series, number 22. That one there. The British Army in Egypt, a underrated army comes of age. Now there's a model here, this one. Let's get him on the base there so you can see him a bit clearer. You can see he's got a so he's got quite an unusual headdress on there. It's a little bit like a Mirliton, but not quite. It doesn't have the sort of the handkerchief bit that's wrapped around. Now, according to this book, he is a... Where are we? Here we are. Nope, no, that's not him. This is great. Great video. I'm aware of this. Sorry, guys. If I was a true professional, I'd have had this in place already, wouldn't I? He is this guy here. So he is an officer of the 12th Light Dragoons, wearing the ornate Mirliton-style headdress adopted by officers of this regiment. So he is he. And so I'll be painting one of these regiments. I've got 12 figures altogether. I bought one pack of dude skirmishing and one set of command. So I've got 12 figures in all. I'll be doing them as two different regiments, and I'll be splitting them half and half. So I'll do one as those guys. Then I'll probably do another one with the lemon yellow facings, because I really like those ones. I think they look really cool. So that's them for now. I just wanted to show them off and just say, look, when it comes to orientalizing your army, I've seen the video that we did on Wednesday, then it can just be as simple as just having that one officer. What have I done with him? Yeah, there it is. It can be as simple as just having that one officer there, and that makes them more Egyptian looking. That said, there's no reason that he can't be in the peninsula as well. So these are going to be dual purpose, and I'll be looking at, for the second unit, a unit that fought in the peninsula as well. But without further ado, let's get on to what I know you're most excited about, and that is the Wurttembergers. So these are the ones from Piano Miniatures. They are 3D printed. You could have bought the miniatures as well, but I went for the STL files, and I did that for two reasons. One, they obviously come a lot quicker, and two, it's a lot cheaper as well. You can print as many as you want for the money. So you can see here, I've got a painting stick already made up. So there we go. And I've got 2 grenadiers and 4 line dudes, including 1 standard bearer. So he's going to be the standard bearer there. Now you'll notice that one of the line figures here is missing the lower part of his arm. So I actually had a chap on another live stream tell me that he had the same issue with that one. So I'm glad it's not just me. He obviously, these were the printed out pre-supported ones. So he obviously needs to have an extra support put onto his hand, and that'll just help this bit to, he sort of comes down here, and that'll just help that print. Now, I'm not too concerned because I can always just convert one up. I'll find a spare arm that I've got lying around. I'm sure I've got dozens of them, and that'll be able to get it from there. So the question I'm asking myself is, what regiment am I going to paint? I'm going to need to do the facings on these. They've got the bibs here. Now, you can do them dark blue. There were some that had that, but that just looks a little bit boring to me. So I'm going to do them possibly with yellow, or possibly with, there's like a peach orange that's quite nice. So I might go for that one, but I'm not going to decide that yet, because first I'm going to paint the white on these guys. Now, I sprayed them white. Now I painted the whole model with Apothecary white, so the Games Workshop white shade. That's what's given them this slightly grey colour, and that's fine. That's a nice base to work up from. Hi, Brush and Quill. Nice to see you again, brother. It's fine that you can't stop. It's an unusual day and time for it. I know people have got lives to go to, so that's fair enough. Thank you for popping in. I've been doing, as some of you know, I've been doing overtime at the hospital because we're so behind with surgeries now that we're doing Saturday clinics as well. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not as if I'm doing the surgery or anything. My job is super simple. But it does mean I don't really have so much days off these days. So having a couple of days off at the start of this week is very nice. Although because we're short-staffed and someone's off sick, I was supposed to be off Wednesday as well, but I offered to go in, so which sounded like a good idea at the time, but I'm regretting offering now. Well, no good deed goes unpunished. Sorry if I look a little distracted. I'm just trying to get a guide for the uniforms. Got to be pink. Yeah, I always go for the pink ones if I can, so I think I may end up going pink on these. The first battalion of Bavarians I painted, I did the bright pink facings. Always got to go for pink. Pink's a weird one, actually, because traditionally pink was seen as quite a martial colour. It was only like in the Victorian era that pink really became associated with like femininity and girls. Before then, it was seen as being quite masculine. So yeah, you had stuff like the pink heraldry and things like that. So yeah, no, it was seen as being I mean, not like red, for argument's sake, which is obviously considered to be a very martial colour, but it wasn't, it wasn't far off. Just trying to get a picture. Why is my computer so poo? I used to be a big fan of Asus laptops. That's what I use here, not an Acer, an Asus. And every time I turn this one on, it's got like the little like loading screen thing. It says Asus in search of perfection. Well, let me tell you, friends, if you've bought the same laptop that I've got, you're still searching, because this one is absolutely terrible. The CPU on it is just, I don't know anything about computers, and even I know that this one is absolutely dire. So yes, don't. If you're going to go for Asus, then make sure you double check what you're going for. Right? Okay. So there we are. I do need a new laptop. I think next year might be the year of the gaming laptop. I'm waiting though for Warhammer Total War 3 to come out, because I don't want to buy one and then not be able to run it. because I'm very, very excited about that game. Third vote for pink. All right, okay. It's going to have to be pink then, isn't it? So, don't help out with the hospital, mate. Lots of respect. Oh, no. It's just a job, mate. It's just pushing buttons on a keyboard. There's absolutely nothing to be respected about that, I'm afraid. Thank you. But no, it's the clinical staff that deserve the respect, not the admin. They came off with no issue 0.05 pre-supports. We want to get more details on 0.02. Pre-supports just too flimsy playing around right now with our own supports. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Using is it Shitu? I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm using the slicing software Shitu box for that one. I've not really got into it myself yet, but I did have a failed print with the mounted officer. So I am going to have to mess about with it at some point anyway. I have noticed as well, just the sheer amount of 3D printing files that are coming out for Napoleonics now. And I think it's difficult because I think 3D printing is a little bit like, I find it a bit like airbrushing. I find people who airbrush are like the vegans of the Warhammer world. It's maybe controversial. But they have to tell you all the time that they airbrush. Oh yeah, do you airbrush, bro? That's my experience anyway. So I find that 3D printers, I fall into the trap as well. I've gone on about how great 3D printing is, and it is good, but there are a lot of drawbacks as well. But I think one of the things for Napoleonics in particular is because you have such a lot of models, especially if you're playing Black Powder, then it really does become economical to go down the 3D printing route. All right, some of the models aren't as nice as some of the manufacturers, and there's not the variety out there yet, but the variety is only going to increase as we go forward. I don't really know what it means for the future of wargaming manufacturers. I really don't, but it's going to be an interesting few years, I think. Damn, John, nice to see you again, my friend. Just thought to say hi. Well, I'm glad you did. Thank you. It's always nice to see you. Blue is feminine due to the Virgin Mary who traditionally wore blue. Ah, right. Well, there you go. I didn't realise that. Well, her blue was often made of lapis lazuli, which I believe you can only get in Afghanistan, or what's now Afghanistan. So it was very, very expensive, which is why they used it for paintings of the Madonna. I know that, but I did not know it was considered sort of feminine because of that. It makes sense, though. Yeah, I mean, it does make sense. The red was considered martial because of blood. Yeah, absolutely. Also, it hides the blood as well, which is quite nice. I think for in the Victorian era as well, I think it's also worth remembering that British soldiers who, ruled the world and, all that stuff, they wore red. So obviously, when the Victorians were putting together these tropes, I guess you could call them, then they had the ones that fitted their current worldview. So I think there's a deal of that in it as well. I mean, I think that's the case when everyone thinks that Romans wore red. As far as I'm aware, there's not a huge amount of evidence for them wearing red, like red cloaks and red shields and stuff. But I think it's to tie them in to the red, sort of to create a future history where the red coats of the Victorian troops match their glorious Roman ancestors. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think there's much evidence of red cloaks for Romans. But I mean, I've said that red dye was relatively cheap as well, which is why British Redcoats wore red. The New Model Army bought up the cheapest cloth available, which was red, and that's why their troops wore red, and it sort of went from there. The Puritans not really known for wanting to spend extra money on frippery, that's for sure. So yeah, it does also help hide the blood as well. The myth that when the French decided to switch to white uniforms in 1808, there is a myth that says Napoleon saw the effects of the blood on their white uniforms after the Battle of Eylau, and he was so disgusted that he ordered them to go back to the indigo. Now I don't know how true that is. I have heard that. I've heard it several times, but I've also heard that it is apocryphal, so several times as well. So I don't know how true that is. But it's a fun story nonetheless. You know me. I'll even if I don't know if something's true or not, I shall report it as a fun story, if nothing else. So I'm just paying a little bit of extra attention to the standard bearer here. He is going to be, well, he's probably going to be in the second rank, actually. I usually put my standard bearers in the second row because the flag's the important part on that model, really. So the bearer is not that crucial. So by having him in the second row, you've got room in the front rank for maybe a mounted officer and a drummer, or maybe even just an officer on foot, the drummer, and maybe, you know, an NCO or a second officer, something like that. So that's why I tend to put the standard bearer in the second rank. It also means as well, particularly if you're the French or the British, you can have the colour party either side of him. So you can have the two Eagle Guards or the colour sergeants with their halberds or pike, well, spontoons, respectively, either side of the standard bearer. So just try and keep that smooth on his crossbelt there. This white's gone a little bit lumpy. The Games Workshop white is not great. I keep meaning to get some Vallejo white, but I just whenever I'm in the shop, I always forget to grab it while I'm there. Any tips for painting faces? Yeah, no, I suck at faces as well. I tend to just use the contrast paints these days. So it's a skeleton horde or screaming skull base, and then just paint the flesh contrast over the top, Guilliman flesh. What I would suggest though is make sure that you do use an off-white base. So you use a yellowy white base, because otherwise they look very washed out. The washed out effect's very good if you want to do casualties. Then do the Guilliman flesh just straight over white. But if you want to do, you know, living, breathing troops, then yeah, make sure you use a yellowy white base coat. That's the one I found to be really important when it comes to which base coat you apply, whether you go for the white or a grey or a yellowy white. Assault 40k, I wasn't here at the beginning of the session. Someone just write me the steps to paint this kind of white. Well, I won't write it, but someone else can certainly type how they do it. For me, this is just, they were sprayed white, and then they were painted all over. The entire model was painted with Apothecary White, which is the Games Workshop contrast. And now I'm just going back in with White Scar, and I'm just highlighting it up. I was just saying I would really prefer to be using Vallejo White, but I forgot to pick some up, so just using what I've got. Alexander the Great, I really enjoy your Napoleonic figures video. Thank you very much. I love. Will you do more in the future? Yes, I'm working on one now. Actually, it's one of those series where it's not actually very popular. They're the least popular videos I do, actually, but they are by far my favorite kind of videos to do. So I'm kind of trying to find the balance between doing what I want to do, which is, you know, ultimately what the channel is about, and also doing things that people are you know, going to be interested in, because I don't want to end up doing. I mean, I've just done Ottoman Oba, which was very much for me. I know some of you guys have been a lot more engaged than you thought you would be, so that's good. Thank you. But yeah, I mean that was one that was for me. So I think I'll go back to do a couple more mainstream videos. But current candidates for Napoleonic figures are what's his name? Alexandre Dumas. So speaking of Egypt and the Egyptian campaign, he's a fascinating guy. He's really interesting. I'm quite interested in doing Queen Louise of Prussia as well. She's quite a fascinating character in her own right. I fancy doing a couple of Americans. What's his name? I was going to say Matthew Perry, but that's not right. The guy who said, "Fight there, don't give up the ship." I can't remember who that was off the top of my head. And I also fancy doing one that's slightly different as well, rather than being the biography of a person, being the biography of a ship. So yes, none of the Napoleonic figures will return. I just they take quite a lot of research to do those ones, and as I say, I'm just sort of trying to vary the content a little bit between what's going to be popular and what's going to be something that's more for my personal enjoyment. Elegant cloth color tends to come down to die cost. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously cost comes down to availability. So I would have thought blue would have been certainly for the British would have been quite common and cheap, because we used to get woad in this country, but no. As far as I'm aware, red was the way to go. So, like I say, when it comes to spending finances, I would probably go with the Puritan, because I don't think they're going to be wasting much on stuff that you don't actually have to buy. Just make sure I do the edges of the bib here, because that's going to be white as well. It might have been a more sensible idea to not do those yet, to do the facings and then come back and crash out the edges afterwards, because I'm probably going to have to sharpen them up anyway. But as I've got the white out, I'll do them now. One thing I am just checking is the turnbacks. So the turnbacks are the facing colour, unless they're light infantry by the looks of it. Let's zoom up a little bit. Yes, they are. Right. They've got these kind of short jackets on. They're very much like the Kleber style jackets. Very 1812 or 1800 style, and they're not the long tailcoats of the French at the height of their prowess. So they're a little bit different from what I'm used to painting. Like I say, much more like the 1815 Bardin regulations than the earlier ones. I have to say, I do like myself a tailcoat. Got a bit of fluff on the end of my brush there. Get rid of that. Yes, She2 Box, using suggestions from 3D Printing Pro YouTube channel. Yeah, it's a good channel, that one. Yeah, I do like that one. Purple is the most expensive. It is, yes. Tyrian purple, I believe. It came from Tyre, which is in the Near East. I think the Carthaginians got rich off the back of purple dye, didn't they? Wasn't that one of their key exports? Kodos to Henke. Well, thank you very much, buddy. It's nice to see you here. Yeah, I did announce on a YouTube post that I would be doing this, but I don't expect everyone to write that in their diary. I was a little bit late getting in as well, I'm afraid, because I had to put the washing on, and the washing machine always sounds like it's about to take off. So it was just on the spin cycle. So I mistimed it by about 4 or 5 minutes. So that's why I was a little late. So just going in there, one thing I am finding going in and doing the detail on these models is the depth of incision is very, very deep on the trousers in particular, which makes finding the detail very nice. But it does mean that you're going to have quite a contrasty appearance, for me anyway. If I wanted to layer up the legs with 2 or 3 layers of white, I could get a really, really nice effect. But I don't have the patience for that. But someone out there who does it, when General Dan, if he gets his hands on these, I'm sure he'll do a much, much nicer job of it than I will. Are you from Chile? Oh, hello, Menno. Maybe not All right, no, the purple came from Chile. I thought you say you were from Chile. Oh, that's the lapis lazuli, right? So, all right, didn't know you got it from Chile? Oh, there you go. Hi, Rory. Okay, yeah. That's there you go. There you go. I cheaper the better, yeah. MDJ Red person used Games Workshop paints for that. Bugman's Glow Base Agrax. Yeah, no, that's another way of doing it. That's how I used to do it. And I find with these they've gone a little bit shiny, so they're not perfect. The Grenadier in particular has gone quite shiny. Fortunately, he's got a giant moustache, which is going to cover most of the shine. In fact, I'm going to quickly block that in now with some white. Get a little bit of a shade on there later. There we go. That's that one there. You'll notice I've not done the edges of the cuff flaps yet. That's partly because I'm painting on camera like this, and I could do with getting that right up to my face to do those. So I don't want to be disappearing off camera every 2 minutes. So I might do those later off stream, or I might do them after I've done the facing colour. So I've got a bit of a mixture of the models on the painting strip here. Like I say, I've got a couple of Grenadiers, a Command, and I might as well get that one done. A couple of Grenadiers, a Command, and then 3 line dudes as well. This guy, like as I say, he's going to need a little bit of converting for those of you who are late to the show, but that's not the end of the world. That should be fairly simple. In fact, looking around me at the moment, I've got this arm. Well, this arm, that's the wrong arm though, isn't it? That one, that's the right arm. Left arm, sorry. I need a right arm. But yeah, no, I'll find something. Don't worry. I'm trying to think where this arm with the stick came from. Sergeant. Don't know. The Warlord Games command group, maybe. So speaking of Warlord Games, the giant elephant in the room, or should I say the 12.5mm elephant in the room. Did you guys see the leaks at the weekend? And they did appear to be leaks of the Warlord Games epic Napoleonic figures. I shared them in a couple of places, but those posts got taken down pretty sharpish. So I don't know if Warlord lent on the admins of those groups or what went on there. But what's your thought? The epic scale battles from Warlord. Is it something that you'd be interested in doing? Is it something that you wouldn't be interested in doing? I had a bit of a Barney with a chap, well, a couple of chaps actually, about their reaction to them. So I'm not going to do that here, don't worry. This is a free fire zone as far as it comes to discussion. But for me personally, I think anything that improves choice, and if it gets one more person into Napoleonic Wargaming than otherwise would do, then it hasn't cost me anything. So I think it's a good thing. Obviously, if I was a shareholder in Warlord Games, I might see things a little differently. But as a Napoleonic enthusiast, for me, it can only be a good thing. But what's your guys think? Is there something I'm missing? Is there a opportunity cost to doing it? If they're doing that, they're not doing 28mm Russian cavalry, so there's that, I suppose. But what are your guys' thoughts on those? As you call them, pink. Yeah. Fun fact: striped clothing is something which became popular during the French Revolution. Yeah, didn't they have a shortage of cloth, so they ended up using mattress material to make their trousers with? I'm sure I read that somewhere. Is it called ticking? I think is the name of mattress cloth. I don't know. See, I'm from Yorkshire. I don't know these things like mines and steel. Absolutely. If I were from across the Pennines, I probably know more about uniforms. It's probably more useful in the in the great scheme of things. If you want me to add the process to add extra coke to make hardened steel, though, then I'm absolutely your man for that one. Which Vallejo white? I think I have the mostly white I use. I think isn't it called something like brilliant white or shining white or something? I don't really remember the Vallejo names, to be honest. It's difficult enough to remember the Games Workshop ones. Well, I've gone off the Vallejo a little bit. They were always my sort of gold standard of paints, and I just I painted an absolute ton. In fact, I did some of them on a live stream. I painted a load of World War II Japanese using their Japanese uniform, and I was literally just basing them up. And Alex from Storm of Steel was doing a live stream, so I thought, yeah, he's a friend of the channel. I'll bang it on. I'll watch that while he's doing his live stream, and he talked about how bad and historically inaccurate the Japanese uniform colour was from Vallejo. Looking down at my painting station, I've got like 200 of them. I was like, well, it's a little bit late for that now. So yeah, Vallejo were in my naughty books, but yes, no, I will go back to them. Very much lapis lazuli, yes. Stroud Water's skull. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. I did not know that. Looking to buy a Napoleonic box or two from Perry's or Warlord. Any recommendations? Not sure what to go for. I mean, do you have a preferred nation or period? A lot of people don't like a lot of people don't like Warlord. They do like the Perrys. They don't like Warlord. I think by and large their figures aren't as good as Perry's. However, it depends on which range and depends on which box set. So, for instance, their Waterloo era French infantry, I think, are perfectly fine. Their earlier French infantry, not a massive fan of myself, I have to say. But the Perrys, both of their French infantry sets are very nice. Their British are very nice, but their British are firing. The Warlord ones are marching, so they're in different poses, which is nice. It's nice again to have that variation. Don't forget, there's also Victrix as well. So if you're interested in maybe looking at some Austrians, Victrix are very good for them, or maybe the Guard, Highlanders, even the British. They're very good for. I'm just when this project's done, yeah, whenever that's going to be, I'll be painting up a battalion or two of Victrix for the Egyptian theatre. I'm sure General Dan will get roped into to playing that one. He doesn't know it yet, but I'm sure he will do. So it depends. I mean, give us a bit more information, Felix, and we might be able to give you a bit better suggestion. You're looking at the Landwehr; they seem pretty cool. Yeah, the Landwehr is a good one. The Warlord Landwehr I quite like, actually. That's their second attempt at doing Landwehr, and they're not amazing. I don't think. I don't look at them and think, wow, they're incredible. But they're good. They do the job. So I would, if you like the Landwehr, if you like the look of them, I would absolutely go for them. Also, check out the reserve infantry from. Who are they from? They are from Wargames Atlantic. They're a weird company, Wargames Atlantic. I swing hot and cold on their models. I bought a load of their riflemen recently. I did a review on them. Well, put it this way. I did the ones for the review. I painted up maybe half a dozen of them. I painted one up as a Cazadore. and then I put them in a box, and I've never looked at them again. So that's I think that's as good a review as you can get for them from me. I'm sure people like NI Miniatures, who which is an excellent channel. I would highly recommend. Give Jay a sub if you ever pop over there. He's a nice guy. We're hoping to get him over for some games next year, perhaps when we do the what's the place, the one that's not Cavalry, when we do Linny. We're hoping to get him over for that one. He's only young though, so it's got to go sort out various things with that one. Wargame World, you were asked to take the post down by Warlord. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, again, I'm not going to criticize anyone that did. They were obviously unauthorized leaks, not like the Games Workshop leaks. I'm using inverted commas there. Where, oh no, how did someone use this potato to take a picture of our models? Oh no. Yeah, no, they were obviously sent to a painter, and he obviously got them up. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if it was in response to the painter for Victrix, who did seem to be posting with I mean, well, if it wasn't with the consent of Victrix, they certainly didn't stop him after he posted the first few. He's been painting up the Bavarians, which again is some nice pre-publicity advertising for them. So I know a lot of people have been waiting for plastic Bavarians. General Dan has just got back from Bavaria, so I'm sure he'll be chomping at the bit to get an army of them. But yeah, the Warlord ones seem to be unofficial leaks. Pretty straight. If you're a painter, I would suggest that Warlord Games are probably looking for some painters right now. I'll do the rule set, but I'm not doing a third scale. I'll do them in 80mm. Oh, is that using the who's it to do 80mm? AB Miniatures, isn't it? They are absolutely gorgeous models. If I was starting again, I'd be tempted to do them in 80mm. I do find them very expensive though. That is the only thing that puts me off them. For me, they seem to be quite expensive. Now you get what you pay for. There's no doubting their quality, that's for sure. But for the prices, for me, I'm like, well, I'd rather get 28mm. But if you've got a smaller gaming surface or you want larger battles, then I can absolutely 100% understand why you'd go AB. My first Napoleonic army was in 15mm, so that kind of put the 18s out of the window, because it was either 15mm or then going up to 28mm. I think the change from 15 to 18 just seemed a little bit pointless. But they were Essex miniatures, which are not the best. They're quite small and dumpy, but I've got a real affection for them because they were my first army. So seems like the epic scale manages to hit both too small to enjoy painting and too large to get the feel of the mass. Yeah, it's weird. They put them in the two ranks still, don't they? I'm tempted to get some and do them for Beluga. So I would paint them, stick them on the bases, MDF bases that are the same size as the Beluga cards, and do them that way. I've seen that done quite a lot in 6mm. So I'd probably do that in 12mm. Just because I actually think it's going to be cheaper. The 12mm plastics will probably be cheaper than the 6mm metals. I find Bacchus surprisingly expensive. But that said, they are a local company. They are a Sheffield-based company. So I probably should be supporting them, shouldn't I? Yeah, but again, one of the things that I said about the Warlord with the 12mm is it's going to be the ease of availability. So here in Sheffield, we're very lucky. We've got three shops that sell wargaming figures that aren't Games Workshop. We've also got Games Workshop as well. Now, two of those carry the American Civil War epic range. So one can assume that they're probably going to carry the Napoleonic range as well. So it does mean that there's quite an ease of availability where I live. So that's the thing where, I can go into town right now and pick up a box of American Civil War epic scale infantry. If I want some Bacchus, or I want some AB or Essex or any of those models, I can order them now. Brilliant. But I'm back to work on Wednesday. They're not going to be here before I'm back to work, are they? So there is that side to it as well. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Dun, dun, dun. Epic scale is good. I use their rules. You read that one. Currently working on my Kermark Landwehr. Okay, that's interesting. General Dan, welcome to the chat. Waiting for someone to paint what, your Bavarians? Yeah, well, you'll need to get James on that. He's painting up a Napoleon for me, actually. He's going to give it to me at our weekend away, so I'm hoping that that'll be the new face of the channel. So James from Triple Crown Wargaming is currently painting up my... he's the Wargames Illustrated Giants in Miniature Napoleon model. So yeah, I'm currently getting him painted up. So that should be quite nice. Nice battle in the box with some expansion, same as ACW, more choice. Probably get people into this part of the hobby. Not really for me, as I have enough 28mm figures. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I can fully appreciate that. And not just 28mm. I think it's the same with any scale, isn't it? If you've got enough 5mm or 15mm, 18mm, whatever it is, 20mm. If you've got enough models already, then yeah, I can understand why you wouldn't want to get into another scale. I think that's absolutely more than fair enough. And that's why, for me, I'm thinking, if I do them for Blucher, then they can be my Blucher army. And then I've got my Black Powder army in the 28mm. It might just be that I'm trying to justify it to myself. There's probably an element of that as well. But I'll certainly be buying the starter box, and we'll take it from there. From what I've seen, there's also... so the sprue just contains a battalion of British infantry, a cannon, and a commander, which is very similar to the American Civil War ones. I did see some French lancers as well. Now, I don't know if they're going to be metal or if they're going to be plastic as well. I only saw 2 shots of them. One was like 3/4 on, and one was from the side, and they were painted and base. So I don't know if they're on a strip of 2 like that, or if they're metal. So anyone who I saw them and thought, oh yeah, they're like the American Civil War ones, and let me know what your thoughts are, if you think they're going to be plastic or metal. See the Warlord Leaks. Oh, hang on. See the Warlord Leaks. Don't think we're well at that scale without cutting the 10 model strips apart. So in the ACW ones, not really suited to play Black Powder with 1 base equals 1 company. No, that's true. I mean, you certainly wouldn't want to do that. It looks again like they've gone for 5 bases to a battalion. So I mean, again, that's 100 models, so that's a 1 to 10 scale. Although in reality, it's probably more closer to a 1 to 4 scale, something like that. One of the things that I do like about it, actually, is one of the... I'll reverse what I was going to say. One of the things I didn't like about the American Civil War was how big the units were. I was like, look, if you're using 5 bases, then you may as well be just using 28mm, because the frontage wasn't that far off. 2 lines of 12 figures, or 5 bases of 5 bases of wild and those things. So it wasn't that different. Now that said, I would have moved them down to 3. So I would have bought a separate command group for every sprue that I got, and got 2 battalions out of it. But with the Napoleonics, it'd be interesting to get a real idea of how big those units were and how difficult to control they were and things like that. If you're on a British line of 500 men and you're in 2 ranks, that's a line of 250 guys. Now let's say each one takes up 2 feet, then that's 500 feet. I mean, that's a long way. So I mean, what would be that? Would be almost 200 yards, wouldn't it? So if we're doing that in meters, probably about I don't know, 140 meters, something like that. So yeah, I mean, it's a long way, and that's a small unit. If they were Austrians, all right, they'd be in 3 ranks, I suppose. But even so, I mean, that would be much bigger. So by using the full 5 bases, it could be interesting to get a real sense of how big the units were. But that said, I'd probably just go for 3, if I'm honest. if I was using them for black powder. I was really hoping for either. I mean, it would have made sense. There were some people talking English Civil War because they were going with the idea of, well, you use the same models for both sides. So I would have liked to have seen either 7 Years' War. I think would have been quite interesting because you can paint them, just paint the coat a different color, and you've got yourself a different nation effectively. Or one that I would have absolutely loved to have seen would have been Samurai. Because again, you know, a samurai is a samurai. You just paint the armor different, and you know, the Sashimono on the back, stick a different clan mon on there, and you've got yourself a different samurai army. Does anyone know any rules for the Boer War? We played a Boer War game when we went up to Morpeth, actually, the night before we did the Vertebra game. It was a good game. The British won, of course. We were very aggressive, of course, and we managed to clear the Boers. It was a historical battle, but I don't really know much about the Boer War, so I couldn't tell you which one it was, I'm afraid. If General Dan was there, he might know, or Richie, if he's around, he might jump on and let anyone know. I don't care what anyone else does. Right now, there are plenty of options available. Yes, no, there are. Yeah, and that's the key thing, isn't it? You do what suits you in your group, and you know, if that's different from someone else, well, that's fair enough. You don't need to change what you do to suit someone else. In the same token, as they don't need to change to suit you. I think the more options, the better. That can only be a good thing. I wish people made more Dutch for 1815 armies. Yeah, no, they seem to be a bit of an overlooked commodity, don't they? The old Dutch. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Can you use the British for the Dutch? I don't really know a huge amount about the Dutch, to be honest. I mean, to be honest, I don't really know that much about 1815 uniforms. It's not my jam. But I don't know. Yeah, could you not just use? Oh no, they've got like lace across the front, haven't they? They're a bit different. I don't know. So someone who will know far more than me. What's the difference between the Dutch uniforms and say the British at Waterloo? Could you not just paint them blue and have them as Dutch? Wargame Atlantic reserves are excellent. You've got 8 battalions of them. Well, that's someone who knows. That's a lot of battalions. That's good. Oh, hang on. Sorry, where are we? Here we are. Shaco and Sprue's looking forward to their Great Coat Russians. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to their Great Coat Russians. The multi-part kits are hit and miss. Yes, I think that's probably fair to say. 27 Jaegers for life. Warlord Landwehr 1 looked far better. Oh, right, okay. Landwehr were not as poorly equipped as Warlord version 2 makes them out to be. I painted 6 boxes of the new ones and never again. Historically iffy and very boring. All right, okay, fair enough. I've only had the old ones, and I painted them up as a Russian Opolcheny. So I painted mine. I painted my green. I don't know why I painted them green. I obviously decided that the Russian Opolcheny were green, but they weren't. So I don't know what was going on there. I was obviously having a bit of a brain fart. But yeah, well, mine are green. So what can I say? Basile Salouin, I've almost certainly mispronounced your name there, so apologies. Who makes these figures? They are from Piano Wargames. They are the Price of Crowns, not the Prince of Crowns. Although I still think Prince of Crowns sounds cooler. They are the Price of Crowns Kickstarter. I think you can buy them at the files now, but you can't get the physical models yet because he's and you know, this is absolutely fair enough. He is fulfilling the Kickstarter orders first, and then he's going to be putting them on general sales. So that's more than fair enough. I love my 10mm Bavarians. Oh, that's cool. Yep. Oh, their flags must look awesome at 10mm. For Napoleonic figures, how about Metternich or Schwarzenberg? Yeah, no, they are both good choices. Metternich, actually, I have started doing preliminary research on him. So that's not a bad shout at all. Guiberval was another one that I've started. The guy who revolutionized French artillery. So people like this, the idea is that they're I mean, yeah, Metternich and Stricklenberg was certainly, Schwarzenberg will certainly fit this category, but they're the sort of the slightly lesser known ones, the ones who, not Napoleon or Wellington, but the ones who, perhaps the second tier. So maybe not a marshal, but someone like General Van Damme, or even just someone like an ordinary person caught up in extraordinary events, like Augustina of Saragossa. Just that one event. Even so, she then went on to co-lead a band of guerrillas and stuff like that. She had quite an interesting older life as well. So people like that. But yeah, no, those are good suggestions actually. I'm interested to see more French units with bonnet à police and shakos. Yep, no, that's fair enough. In fact, on my other painting stick, I've just glued a load of front rank French light infantry on there, and I've mixed in some bonnet de police on those ones just to, because I had them, and just to the problem is with front rank, I've always said, they're lovely models, but they only do one sculpt per pose. I mean, they're used to, their reinforcement packs are a little better, but it would be if you wanted Old Guard marching, well, there was only one sculpt, so it just looked like a bunch of robots. But by adding in a bonnet de police, it does break up the unit a little bit and adds a little bit of variation. So that's his strap done. Just get around the sides. It's difficult to get around the sides when the camera's pointing down like this. There we are, getting there. Just check while I'm here. I had a quick look at the cartridge boxes. It looks like they're black, so I probably should have done those when I did the helmets and boots, but that's cool. Go back and do that, it's no problem. Get in there. Can't really see what I'm doing. There we go. I'm looking forward to getting the brass on the plates at the front there, and then hitting it with the Agrax wash, because that's going to bring all the detail out on the little crown that's on the front of the helmet. You can't see it, but there's actually detail inscribed on the. So they've got like the helmet, and then at the front of it, they've got. It's almost like a policeman's badge, if you know, like British policemen. And they've got their police helmets, and they used to have the big crest on the front, a bit like a Shako plate. It's similar-ish to that, and it's actually got detail inscribed on the badge as well. The level to detail he's gone into is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really impressed. I've used Painting Sticks for years to paint. Yeah, no, this is from a garden centre. This one, it's a labeling. It's like, well, it's a label. So you're right that you've got your, I don't know, gardenias or whatever on there, and then you stick it in the ground, and then when they bloom, you know what they are. So that's all these are. They're quite cheap. They're not great. That's the last time I used them. The glue hasn't really come off, but realistically, I should just probably throw them away. Use them once, flip them over, use them on the other side, and then bin. But I am from Yorkshire, so I am a bit tight. I don't like I don't like throwing things away if I don't have to. As you'll see, some of the gelatin state of some of my paints. Anyone else seen the announcement for Warlord Dutch Belgians? No, I haven't. I'm really looking forward to adding these to my Anglo-Allied Waterloo army. That's cool. Yeah. No, I have not seen that, but no, that'd be cool. And anything again that adds to the models that are out there, and obviously Warlord have done the Hanoverians and the Portuguese as well. So MDJ Red, Britain gets way too much credit for Waterloo, in my opinion. We're not going to get into that, MDJ Red. I think they don't. I'm going to leave it there. That's a discussion for another time, I think, because it can end up getting quite heated. But ultimately, it was an Allied victory, and I think if manufacturers made more of the Allies, then I think that would only be a good thing, because it would increase choice. Increased choice is very rarely a bad thing for the consumer, I find. Mateus Rockzun says, "Hi, watching while gluing hat Cossacks their horse after painting them. What's your opinion on setting riders on horses before or after painting?" It depends. It does depend on that one. I should say the hat Cossacks, if they're... Oh, no, it's Vezda, isn't it? The Guard Cossacks. But the hat Cossacks are quite nice, actually. It very much depends on what period would be one thing. I tend to use oils on the horses and acrylics on the men. So for no other reason than that, I tend to paint them separately. But what I'll tend to do is paint the horse, including the saddle, and glue the man. Usually paint the man's legs, then glue him onto the horse, and then paint his torso. Is sometimes how I do it, or I might just have them completely separate. One of the reasons I don't have them separate or that often is because they just take up too much room, and I'm so incredibly messy on my painting station that I just don't actually have room for 12 horses and 12 men separately. I also find I lose them as well. So I've got a regiment of US Dragoons that I painted all the horses for. The horses are all done. They're all based. They're in a box. They're good to go. I've got absolutely no idea where the riders are. No idea at all. So there is there is that problem as well. To be honest, they were from Brigade Games, and the horses were absolutely shocking. And the riders aren't a huge amount better. So I'm not overly sad that I've not been able to finish those. Very, very rarely have I been as disappointed with a purchase, like a Napoleonic purchase, as I was with the Brigade Games US Dragoons. They were not great, I'm afraid, which is a shame because I really like Brigade Games. I love their Ottomans, obviously, and I really like their personality figures. They do a really nice Obadiah Hates Will. They do a decent-ish Sharp and Harper, but they do a really, really nice, and it's one of my favourite models they do. Sweet William Fredrickson. He is a phenomenal sculpt as well. So they do some nice stuff, but do not go for their US Dragoons. Avoid them like the absolute plague. The Cavalry look plastic to me, and I think it will make sense for the starter set. 4 separate sprues. Yeah, no, I agree. They did look plastic to me as well. I also agree it would... What on earth is that? I also agree it would make absolute sense as well. I've just dropped a window into my coffee, so that was unpleasant. I've also dropped the Primarch of the First Legion's Gladius on the floor as well, so let's not be losing that one. Mateus, greetings from Poland. Greetings to you, my friend. I'm going to talk about some Polish stuff in a bit, actually. Given how much of a nut John Stallard is for ECW, they safe to say it will be on the way epic scale at some point. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it would make sense, wouldn't it? I agree. Hope for the 7 Years War epic from Warlord 2 would have made much more sense than Napoleonic. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, it's not a question of what I want to play or what I don't want to play or anything like that. Just looking at it purely from an ease of manufacture and sales perspective. Although I haven't said that, when I say it's not necessarily something I want to play, I did start a 15mm Great Northern War Army for the Russians. So it wouldn't be something that I wouldn't be into. Although you probably need to do metal add-ons for them, because they'd need pikemen for their 3rd rank, because they were still living 100 years behind everyone else, apparently. Yes, that is still fun. The fun of casting tin or lead soldiers in the 18th century. Same soldiers. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's also a real thing for imaginations in the 7 Years' War as well. People say, oh, this is the army of, I don't know, Tim Schleichschloss or whatever, and they wear red uniforms with green trousers or whatever. So 7 Years' War seems to be the real creative period for a lot of people, which is cool. And tricorn hats look cool as well. So. You could have probably also squeezed a little bit of American War of Independence out of them as well. So yeah, no, I am a little surprised they didn't do 7 Years' War. But hey, you know, more Napoleonics. Not going to be sad at that. Greetings from Italy. Hello, AT. Buongiorno. Is it still? Oh no, it's the afternoon. I don't know what good afternoon is. But hello. Well, thank you for joining me. Well, not me. Thank you for joining us. So I'm getting just to the back of the belts now that are underneath the packs. I've just got a little bit here. Sorry, I'm just going to go off camera a second. I just need to get a bit of well, I'm going to deliberately go off camera. I should have said, shouldn't I? It's not as if it's a new experience, but and in this case, I'm doing it on purpose. So apologies. Just bear with me. There we go. So really, really happy with them. I think they've come out really nicely. The level of detail. I'm going to try and get some close-ups here. Let's see how we get on. Yeah, I think this one here is probably going to be one of the best exemplars. So come on, camera. You can focus. You can do it. I believe you. I believe. Nope. Yeah, there we go. So you can see where the trouser... Oh, hang on. It's just going out of focus again. You can see where the trouser goes down to the left leg as we look at it. There's a really nice deep ink. Oh, it's not. It's just it keeps refocusing. There's a really nice deep incised cut there. You're not really gonna be able to see it. Let me see if I can move this down. Perhaps that might help. Really deep incised detail. No, it's not really helping, is it? You're gonna have to take my word for it, then, I'm afraid. But yeah, there's a nice deep level of detail on there. Really comes out nicely. Really taking the paint. And like I say, if you're someone who's interested in, you know, doing the best you can with the models, I'm not. I'm a very, very much a tabletop painter. Does it look half decent from 3 feet away? Then I'm quite happy with that. Quickly go over. He says touching the model up. But there we go. So that's the white done on them. That's always one of the worst parts. Now there is still more white to do. They actually have white piping on their collars. So when I do the facings, I'm going to have to address that. Now, talking about the facings, we are going to do them pink. I don't actually think I own a pink at the moment, anyway. So let's quickly make one up. So I was getting some red. And as was mentioned earlier on in the chat, sorry, I can't remember who it was who said it. The British uniforms would often end up going pink when they faded in the sun and when they were rained on as well. So we're going to have a very British style pink here. So we'll get some red out, get some white, and just mix that in. I'm using an old base as a palette for this. Let me get it on the edge of the screen here. So I'm just going to fold in the red into the white effectively. Get some water on there. I once read an article about what consistency paint should be, and they said it should be slightly thicker than water. The consistency of milk, someone said. So when I'm mixing a paint like this, that's the look I try and go for. Now, as you can see, that's not covered in one layer. That's fine. This means I'll have to put a second layer on when it's dry. I would rather build up the layers on this than put it on too thick in the first time, because then it's going to be a bit of a nightmare to desaturate, especially pink, because you don't want it to lose its luster. Also, by adding that much water, it'll take that a little bit longer to dry out as well. Well, to be fair, it's quite cold in here today, so hopefully it won't dry out too quick. Anyway. There we are. So I'm quite happy with that so far. That's a really nice looking pastel pink. Let's get a bit more here going on. No, he doesn't have a cross strap. He's got one on. So paint it right there. The ones on the website all use the yellow. So the second battalion I will definitely be doing those guys yellow. I do also like yellow facings as well. They really help a model pop, I find. One of the most interesting ones I did was I recently painted the 50th of foot, the British 50th, and they were known as the Dirty Half Hundred because they had black facings. So they were quite interesting. I have a little bit of fluff on this guy's chin. There we are. I had to be careful not to scratch the paint off. So just dub that in there. Square off the collar. Boom, happy with that. He's got a little bit of coat poking out underneath his belt. So let's get that one done. Now, something that people have asked me in the past, no one's mentioned it on the stream yet, but I have been asked in the past, what's it like painting them? Yeah, what's the feel of the material? Is it soft plastic? Is it hard plastic? What's it like? It's not really like either, to be honest. It's like if you I don't know if you've ever painted Restec, which is half resin, half plastic. It's very much like that. It's it's slightly soft, but you can't bend it. I mean, well, let's take this for example. You can bend it ish, but you can't bend it like you can bend it more than hard plastic, but you can't bend it as much as say a hat model or something like that. So it's kind of halfway between the two. You see here, here's a part that's very easy to miss. So let's get a bit more pink made up. There we go. It's going a bit red, that one, but that's okay. Try not to stab myself in the hand. There we are. There we go. So that's, I'm not sure actually that is pink. I think that's supposed to be blue, but that's okay. I can go over that with blue. That's not a problem. Covering lighter colors with the darker ones is always preferable than the other way. So Bosch, put that on there. Quick second layer. Job is a good one. I'm very happy with that. Now this may end up having a very, very light red wash, just to create a little bit of depth on there. But let's go to the Grenadier. Let's get him painted up. I'm going to do these all as the same battalion. I'm not going to mess about with doing different battalions today. It tends not to be how I paint. I tend to just do a battalion at a time because it saves a lot of time that way. That's how I batch paint. But if you wanted a bit more variation, if you want to stop yourself getting bored, then yeah, you absolutely could do different battalions at a time. I'll put far too much water on that one. I love the Dutch Lancers who fought for Napoleon. Yes, no, they are cool. I've just finished well, not just, a few months ago, finished a regiment of Dutch Lancers of the Guard, using the Victrix models. I would highly, highly recommend them. They are very nice. They're very action posy. They're very, well, I don't know if you've ever seen at least the trailer for the Song of the Ulan, basically straight out of that. I still haven't seen that film. It's one of the most nuts trailers I think I've ever seen. But yeah, no, I'm still trying to track down the film. I did see a film this morning. I started watching. Well, I started watching. I've had it on my to watch list on Amazon Prime for absolutely ages. And I thought this morning, you know what, I'm off work, I'm going to watch this film. And it's only an hour and a half long, and I got about 40 minutes in, and I was like, I just can't watch this anymore. And it was it's a Napoleonic era film, and it's about a guy who he gets oh, it's awful. He gets captured by the French, and it's set in 1815. He gets captured by the French, and they are bringing back to life all the old guard who died in Russia, because Napoleon needs his elite troops back. So they've shipped all the bodies of the old guard back from Russia. Somehow they never really go into that. And then they're basically bringing them back from the dead as zombies. And this guy has to fight them. It's absolutely appalling. It's just the acting is dire. Obviously, the story is dire. The script is just awful. Oh, it was it was so bad. I didn't like the first thing I thought of. This is going to go over the head of anyone who's not from the UK. So I apologize for this. It's also going to go over the head of anyone who's not a certain age. But if you ever saw the episodes of Nightmare on ITV where they had live actors and stuff, it was like that. It was absolutely appalling. It was just awful. So I still haven't seen the end. I don't know what happens in the end yet, but it was dire. It was called Fallen Soldiers. It was shocking. It was one of the worst films I've ever seen. It was really, really bad. Didn't the 50th also have a little problem with their colours having a tendency to run? Yes, they did. Which is why they were called the Dirty Half Hundred. They used to like wipe their faces with their sleeves, and the dye would obviously come out and stain their faces black. But yes, no, Fallen Soldiers on Amazon Prime. I can't say that I would recommend it, but if you want to see a film that mixes Napoleonic and the supernatural elements, then that's definitely the one to go for. I'll leave it like that. Speaking of which, the Osprey Silver Bayonets, I think, comes out soon, doesn't it? Anyone interested in that one? That's a supernatural Napoleonic world, I guess, where you're going to have Napoleonic troops fighting werewolves and vampires and things like that. I often thought about writing a story where the like an Austrian colonel or whatever, because he would have been a local lord, was from Wallachia, and he was a bit, shall we say, bitey. But never got around to it. Andreas pre-ordered Silver Bayonets more as soon as it went live. Oh, okay, so that is in your wheelhouse, then, is it? That's the kind of thing that you're interested in. That's cool. That's cool. I looked at the models, and I didn't really see any that jumped out at me. But it's definitely arranged to keep an eye on for me, and pick up the odd characters here and there that I think are going to be particularly nice. But yeah, I'm interested to see the rules. I know a lot of people are comparing it to Flintlock from back in the day. So for those who don't know, Flintlock was a fantasy Napoleonic era game where the orcs were, like, the British were orcs, basically. The French were vampires. No, elves, weren't they? And the Prussians were dwarves, I think, maybe. Again, the models were very caricature-y. They weren't really to my taste. Not because of the subject matter, just because I felt the models, as I say, they were a bit caricature-y. This was when Games Workshop were at the absolute height of their powers, and they were just making hit after hit when it came to the models. And I sort of, they didn't really do it for me. But with the way Games Workshop's gone now, hopefully Silver Bayonets will have a bit more of a wider appeal. I want to go about making Italian light infantry. How would you go about that? Ooh, light infantry. I'm not 100% sure. Italian light infantry. Let's have a look. Certainly for line, just go with French and Napoleonic Italian light infantry. Right, let's have a look. Oh wow, they are green. I would probably just go with French line infantry. Looking at it, I'm looking at Consul's painting of, there's an officer and a, well, it looks like Consul. I don't think it is, actually. Oh, it's a Bousilier of an officer and a, well, Leger, Voltigeur, I guess he'd be. It looks like he's got a green trousers with a yellow stripe down it. This is the soldier, and your sort of buff, yellowy underclothes, small clothes. So his waistcoat and his collar seem to be the same color. So yeah, I'd probably just go with Perry's mid-war French infantry, if I'm honest. Of course, yeah. No, going back to the Napoleonic figures. Deep in researching is my absolute man crush, Eugène de Beauharnais, who was the Viceroy of Italy. He was Napoleon's stepson, and while Napoleon made his son the King of Italy, his son was like 3 or something. So the Viceroy was Eugène, and he is a really fascinating guy, a very underrated commander. I would say one of Napoleon's most trustworthy commanders. Maybe not one of his most flamboyant, maybe not one of his most exciting, but certainly one of his most trustworthy. And I think, particularly in 1813 and 14, there's a lot to be said for trustworthy. You know, when your marshal is declaring war on you, then suddenly trustworthy becomes a rare and much needed commodity. Now, it looks like there's a little bit here at the bottom of the coat that should be white as well. So I missed that bit. So I'm going to have to go back and touch that up later. I thought that was part of the turnbacks, but as I'm painting, I'm realizing that there's this flap here, and then there's that on top. So I don't actually think that is part of the turnback. So I'll have to go back and hit that with the white, so that's no problem. It's the little things like this that I find, that's why I batch paint, because I've found that issue out now. If I paint the rest of them in 6 months' time, then I'll probably have to relearn that, because I'll have forgotten by then. So, you know, by keeping it fresh in my mind now, I can do that in the next batch, and I won't make that mistake. I'll save myself, you know, a minute a model, something like that. Well, you know, you save yourself a minute a model, and that's a 36-man battalion. You save yourself over half an hour, haven't you? So it's the power of small numbers. Really interesting stuff about it. I love Dracula and Napoleonic, so I'm really interested. I love the Gothic vibe. Not sure where to get models for it though. Well, they sell their own. Is it North Star? I think are distributing it. They've got a little range that they're bringing out. I'm not sure who sculpted them, but I mean, like I say, it's not that they're bad. It's just I'm not seeing anything that really super leaps out to me at the moment. That's all. It's certainly something that I'm going to keep an eye on, though. I'm not absolutely not against it. And again, you know, as we said earlier on about the epic stuff, if that's a way in to Napoleonics for someone, if they're, you know, a fantasy player, and they're like, oh yeah, you know, I really like the early 19th century, but I'm not necessarily into the big battles and stuff, that's a way in. Something else you might be really good for, actually, is getting your girlfriend involved, or your sisters, or whatever. You know, if they like a bit of Pride and Prejudice, then suddenly you can have Pride and Prejudice and zombies. Get them interested in the period, get them interested in the like in wargaming. I mean, who knows? You never know. That might be another way in. So for that, I think Silver Bayonets is going to be pretty cool, actually. See you later, Andreas. Nice to see you again, buddy. Model wise, is it's just line. I'm so mad there's no Eugène. Yeah, he is solid. Yeah. Alex, nice to see you. Good accompaniment to my lunch. Oh, that's good. Help. Perry Brunswick, the Black Band, have 2 hat types. Long horsehair and oak leaf. Can you tell me why, please, did they change for the peninsula? The oak leaf, I believe, is for when they march to the sea. So if you've listened to the first part of the series I've done on the Brunswickers, that's the series that needs finishing, by the way. But if you listen to the first part, it's when the Duke of Brunswick was marching down to help the Austrians. The Austrians got whooped, so he had to march all the way back up to the sea. Is it the Baltic up there? No, I don't know. He had to march up to like the north coast, so basically where like the Polish coast, and get evacuated by the British there. So I believe the oak leaf is for then, and the falling horsehair plume is for later. Now, that said, I did research that video quite a while ago now. I can't really remember. So don't, if someone else says something different, the chances are they know what they're talking about and I don't. So with that caveat, I believe that is the difference. So the oak leaf you want if they're fighting these chaps, actually, the Wurttembergers, or no, sorry, not the Vertebras. I always get them too mixed up. If they're fighting the Westphalians on their march to the sea, or if they're in the peninsula, I think they should be the falling horsehair plumes. This pink here is a little bit light. I think the paint might have been drying out by the time I got to him. So just hit him one more time. Like Britney Spears. There we go. Yeah, Napoleon II was a bit of a loser, wasn't he? Eugene, yeah, for me, he's my dog. Again, he went with Napoleon to Egypt. Where Napoleon took several mistresses. He went with Napoleon to Poland, where he famously took a Polish countess as a mistress there. And he was just like, yeah, no, it's all cool, you know. I don't mind the fact you're cheating on my mum. Like, you're the emperor. So, yeah, fair play. With all the tiny 1/72 figures, painting hours, painting larger, 28mm feels like luxury. Yeah, no, I painted some 20mm recently, actually, and I actually quite enjoyed it. But I do like my 28mm. I'm going to stick to them. I'm not going to go back to 20s anytime soon. Although I am thinking of 20mm for the Eastern Front in World War One. I know Zvezda do a box of Germans and a box of Russians. So I might go to that. Although that said, I have also just bought some more 28mm First World War French. So I don't need any more of those. So but they were nice. They were the Chasseur Alpine that Skytrex made. You can now buy Skytrex models from Wargames. So they're quite nice. They got the big sort of baggy berets on. One of them smoking like a big Homburg pipe, which I thought was particularly cool. So, yes, now I'll be adding some Chasseur Alpine to my First World War French army. So, there we go. I'm just going to tuck under his collar there. Right, what's the time, chaps? Right, it's 20 to 12. So, what I think we shall do is I'm going to get this last guy his facing's done. Let's get him crashed out. I'll then do the brass on the helmets and the weirdy bearskin type things. They're not really bearskins. They're just helmets with transverse crests. Then I'll hit that with the Agrax shade, and then we'll call it a day. The reason I want to do that is I just want to show you the level of detail. There's still a lot of 3D printer skeptics out there, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. But one of the arguments I see being made is, oh, the quality is not very good. And what I want to dispel is that is an illegitimate criticism. The quality is excellent. There's many, many other reasons that you might not want to use a 3D printer. They're a pain in the arse. There's a lot of cleaning required. They're noisy. You know, there's a ton of reasons not to get one. But to say that the model quality isn't there, it's just plain wrong, I'm afraid. So hopefully this will show you. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is I may even do a Wednesday night video on this. There are a lot of 3D printing resources out there at the moment, particularly Kickstarters. So I've backed 2 Kickstarters this weekend for Napoleonic STL files. Now, again, I know Kickstarters are controversial in themselves as well. They're not for everyone, and that's absolutely fine. But the 2 I've backed are, one is someone's doing similar to this, but they are for the Grand Duchy of Warsaw. Now, I have to say, I don't actually think they're as nice as these piano miniature ones. But, you know, that may change when I see them in the flesh. But looking at the renders, the STL renders, they don't look quite as nice. Sorry, I'm just moving some stuff around. So that's one that I've done. And the other one that a guy's done, it's quite a strange one. It's a range of Napoleonic High Command. So there's a Napoleon. He's like leaning on his campaign desk. He's quite a nice one. There is what else was there? Napoleon leaning on the campaign desk. Oh, Napoleon on his camel. That was the reason I went for it. You give me a camel and I'll just throw money at you. I do like camels. There was, where are you? Where can I find you? Sorry, I was looking for a paint, which seems to have disappeared. Right, okay, never mind, I'll find out later. Yeah, so he's done a range of Napoleons, including one at his campaign table, one on his camel, which comes from the old painting. I use that on the Orientalizing Your Army thumbnail. There is a Napoleon. I think he might have him with his feet on the drum at Borodino. I'm not 100% sure about that one, though. To be honest, I saw the camel and I was like, yeah, I'm in. I didn't need to see any more than that. I've got a Napoleon on camel already, but it's not the same as the painting. And the painting is so iconic. It's, you know, it's a bit like if you want a Consul Napoleon, not having him crossing the Alps. Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily use that on the tabletop, but that's definitely one that you'd want in your collection. Flintlock Ottomans were otters. I did. I did not know that. Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, that's very good. Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense. Right, sorry, I'll just, I know I didn't say I was going to do these, but I'll quickly crush out these packs as well. Well, that said, I'm going to have to switch brushes for this. That's a bit small, that one. There we go. So you can see I've not done the facings on the back of these last 2 guys. I've missed out on that. So, whoops, I'll have to come back and do that, which is a bit more of a pain in the ass because it means I'm going to have to mix some more pink up. Oh, excuse me. Do you do any Ancients period? Oh, Andrew. Monsieur. Yes, I do. I do mainly biblical when it comes to Ancients, actually. I have a rather stupidly large Assyrian army. I've also got quite a large Mycenaean army and an Egyptian army as well. I've also, what also do I do for Ancients? I've got a Victrix. Well, it's actually not Victrix. It's mostly metal. A Republican Roman army. I can't remember who it's from. It's someone who doesn't make them anymore. I want to say Renegade, but I don't think it is Renegade. I think it's someone else. But I do have some Victrix mixed in there for things like Etruscan. Well, not Etruscans. Samnites and things like that. It's ostensibly Second Punic War, but I wanted the allies, to be in their traditional uniforms, costumes, I guess you'd say. By the Second Punic War, they would probably looked exactly the same as the Roman legionaries, but that's a little bit boring. So I've done mine with the Samnite breastplates and all that kind of funky stuff. The extraordinary I probably will do as Romans, but I haven't got around to them yet. I recently did some Victrix Cavalry, actually, Roman Cavalry and the Cavalry Commanders. They are weird. They are just super weird. The scale's way out on them. They're absolutely enormous. They're like 35 mil. They're huge. Anyway, so yes, now I do that. And I've also recently bought in 50 mil for Art de la Guerre a Parthian army. I basically wanted to do a Mongolian army. And there was a guy at the club, and he was like, "You can't do Ottomans. You can't do Mongols." And I was like, "Well, I want to do Mongols." Well, you can't. If they're just really good. No one will play against Mongols. I was like, "Oh, okay." So I got a Parthian army instead, which is basically a Mongol. It's basically a Mongol army, but with slightly less powerful bows. So yeah, I was just like, "Okay, well, I've not got a Mongolian army. I've got a Parthian army." So that's my main ancients. I'm looking at me right now. I was planning on working on them this week, but I don't think I'm going to in the end. I've also got quite a large Norman army as well. I need to finish. General Dan did buy a Saxon army, but I don't think he's even opened the box, to be honest. Thank you for the update on your clock. It's 20 to 1. Yep, no, good. I think you need to 20 to 1. Oh, sorry, yes. No, yeah. No, it's not, you know what? I'll blame the clock. It's not the clock though, it's me being stupid. So yes, apologies for that one. It is 20 to 1. If you are now late for work, then I apologize. World One French on Warlord's website. I don't know where they are on the website. I saw them at the Wargaming show yesterday, the Leeds Fiasco one. So I picked up a pack there, but I'm not sure where they are on the website, I'm afraid. Salute to your health. Oh, okay, lovely. Oh, thank you, yeah, for the sneezing. You know what? I've been coughing as well. I've not been coughing too badly today, but when I'm out coughing in public, I do get some strange looks these days. Which is probably for the best. I've started wearing a mask again when I go out, which I don't particularly like doing. But if I am coughing and spluttering, it is literally the least I can do, isn't it? I need to find a club around Sheffield. Need to start playing some games again. Well, Thursday nights, if you head down to Farm Road Social Club, then that's where me and my cronies will be. Check the Sheffield and Chesterfield Wargamers on Facebook. We're on there. And yeah, pop on down. It'd be nice to see you. What time are we on? All right, 10 to 1. I think by doing these packs, I think we've kind of boned ourselves on doing the brass, because I'm also going to need to do the handles on the briquettes as well, aren't I? So let's quickly finish off the pack. I'll do one Shako plate or helmet plate, because I really do want to show you the level of detail that's on there. Similarly, that's why I wanted to do the pack as well, because the pack is cowhide, obviously. And it does have the fur modelled on. Oh, he's just stabbing the Dragoon officer there. He's a bugler, actually. So get back on camera. There we are. Yeah, I was planning on starting my Franco-Prussian War French yesterday as well, but unfortunately the bank manager he had other plans for me. But I'm sure I'll get some when the plastics come out. I'm very much looking forward to those. I was going to get a Milchus machine gun yesterday, but well, never mind. So that is them dunsies. What I should have done there, and I'm going to quickly do it now, is this Grenadier's moustache. I do like two different coloured moustaches on my guys. It does take quite a lot of extra time. You'd be surprised. It'd be much quicker just do them all black or brown or whatever. But again, it just adds a little bit of variation to the models. It also means if you've got the same sculpt, but you give them different coloured moustaches, then they do actually look quite different. That's copper, that's no good. Right, let's have a go with the Shaco plate then. Hi for the new subscribers like me, what's your name again? My name is Tim Meadow. Please don't track me down and dox me or whatever people do on the internet these days. I don't know. Steal my identity. You can steal my bank account if you want. You can have my overdraft payments. I don't mind. Shakos and Sprues, that link was for you, but I'm sure Tim will mention it. Right, so all right, okay. You taught me into it. I'm trying not to put the paint on too thick here. I don't want to obscure the detail. I'm not going to do the buttons or anything like that yet, because I'm afraid I'm going to go off camera as well. Sorry, just the angle of the model. So there we go. I'm going to let that dry. Move on to this guy as well. I'm really, really pleased with these models so far. They're absolutely gorgeous. He's done a fantastic job sculpting them, and they're printed out really nicely as well. There's also a Spanish chap who he sells Napoleonic STL files. Now, they're actually quite expensive. So he sells for, I would say, the STL files for a battery of cannons, €30. Now, to me, that's quite a lot. That is the price of a battery of guns from Victrix. But once you've got the files, obviously you can print them as many times as you want. So it's quite an expensive outlay, but if you want a large army, then it's definitely the way to go. So hopefully that will have dried by now. The metallics do dry very quickly. In fact, I'll quickly do his buckle and buttons just to kill a bit of time. There we go. There we go. The belt buckle just breaks up all this white area around here as well. So that's quite nice. That's a helpful little bit of detail. There we go. Same with his cross strap there. It's going to hurt his chest after a while. And then grab that button down there. There we go. So this guy, this Grenadier, is the one who we're focusing on. Pretty pleased with him so far. I've missed his facing on his cuff. I quickly grab that. I want this guy to be mostly finished by the end of today, so I'm just focusing down on that one Grenadier now. I'm not going to do his musket though. Let's mix up a little bit more pink. There we go. Get it out of the way. Work this in. So there we go. Sorry, I'm rushing a little bit now. Quickly. The Bosch there, so that's done. I'm going to have to go off camera here as well. Sorry. Poking down between his arm and his musket, which I just couldn't get from that angle. without holding it up. So there we go. That's the back of that one there. And I'll quickly block these in while we're here. Bosh. Bosh. There's still quite a lot of touching up's going to need to be done to these guys. That's fine. I'm not too concerned about that. I can it's just little things that are going to need doing. That's absolutely fine. So I'm just going to bang this wash on, and then I'm going to call it a day. Not only are they quite pricey, there's only one pose for crew. That's not how to... Yeah, no, well, exactly. I mean, it's good to see. It's good to start them off. As always, you know, more choice is good. But at the moment, I've not pulled the trigger on them because I just consider them a little bit pricey. There is another one that's just come out there, another Kickstarter. That, as I say, sorry, yeah, it's the Duchy of Warsaw. So it's similar to this Price of Crowns one. Not quite the same level of quality, I don't think. But that could change. I will do, just before I finish, you know, I'm just going to do this here. So I'm using the wash straight out of the pot here. It's unusual. I normally water it down. But I'm not slapping it on. I'm actually making sure it finds the detail here. So I want it to be fairly strong. There we go. Just going to hit his moustache with it, just again to add to the contrast there. And the guy with the white moustache, I'll put a little bit on there as well, just so it doesn't look so stark. So I'll do a close-up on their faces, and then I think we're going to have to call it a day, I'm afraid, chaps. So thank you for joining me. We've done some good stuff today. We've got these 6 guys in a position where maybe another hour, and all 6 of these guys will be good to go. And then we have glued all of these light dragoons onto bases. I just want to quickly go over 1 or 2 of those before we disappear as well. Let's go back over his cross strap there. I noticed I had to hit it with a pink. There we go, that should solve that. I also noticed as well, the back of this guy I've not really done. This end guy, he really is getting the short end of the stick. Although, to be fair, painting him flat like this, he's quite difficult to get to. Let's just water this down a little bit. It's gone a bit thick. There we go. So the back and the side of this guy is not looking great. So someone is going to be in the middle of the front rank. So well done. You've just been promoted. Right. That's going to be it for today, chaps. Thank you very much. I'm going to do a quick flyby on these. Well, I'll have to save the light dragoons for another time. I might even paint them on stream because I'm really, really pleased with those figures. But let's get the camera to zoom in, shall we? There we are. So that's the standard bearer. He's looking a bit pensive. You'll notice as well that I'm going to need to hit him with pink just around about there in between his straps. I'll do that when the camera's not in the way. I've got the Grenadier here. This guy is the most done. Again, he still needs a little bit of work. Then the second Grenadier as well. He's going to... he's looking all right. NCO pointing and shouting there. Then the armless guy. He's looking a bit hollow-eyed. That's what happens when you get your arm blown off, I suppose. And then this guy here as well. So they're going to need a little bit more work doing on them. The faces are looking a little bit pale on camera, but they don't quite look that wan in real life. They look a little bit better. But overall, I'm pretty happy with those. And I think I'm going to call that a day. So thank you very much for joining me today. And I hope to see you guys on Wednesday. I think I might do a roundup of 3D printers and Kickstarters and things like that. A bit of a Napoleonic news. We've not done one of those in quite a long time. So I might do one of those. and I shall see you guys later. Thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time.